Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hailing Frequencies Open podcast. It's the only podcast where we dedicate your comments that we speak out loud and then we comment on your comments. Might be a little strange seeing me as host today, but that's because he has a very important mission that he has to do. He's in the
Right.
shuttle pod as we speak. Shuttle pod 2 or shuttle pod 1?
Shuttle Pod 2, of course.
Okay, good. That's good. I would not have taken shuttle pod 1. It's been having a few issues lately.
Yeah, right. Naturally.
Yeah, so Will's going to be navigating the shuttle, but luckily we have long-range comms.
Yep. Unless I go into a nebula.
Yeah, unless I happen to go under a space tunnel.
They're hailing us. Hailing frequencies open.
Captain, we're receiving 285,000 hails.
Wish I knew what to tell them.
All right, so let's get right into this while we have long-range comms. So this week we are going to cover some of the comments that we received from our outrageous Okana episode. That was a great episode. So to start off, Captain Alimar, he says, "This is fun stuff each week. I'd explore Middle Earth if I had a chance. It would be pretty sweet. From my office says it would be dangerous, but not if you stuck to Hobbiton," which is what I said I would like to do is hang out in Hobbiton. But also, if we keep the computer protocol to, not you don't have Geordi set it up, we should be fine. Like the computer program shouldn't be able to hurt you if
You would think so.
yeah. If not, then why even use it, right? It's pretty funny. He says, "I'm pretty hyperbolic with Riker and his proclivities. I pretty much just want to get a laugh out of you both."
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. He says, "I'd hope Caleb doesn't get the impression I disagree with his rating. It just can be more interesting to discuss something when you have disagreements." Yeah. No, I totally agree
For
with that.
sure.
I don't feel like he was harping on me. It's just funny that sometimes, like, I watch an episode and I feel a certain way, and then I get on here in the morning and I'm like, I actually kind of really hated that episode. But you and I are usually on the same page with stuff.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah. Very, very rarely do we have like a strong opinion that's opposite that we will debate on. I know that can be more like interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just, it really honestly depends. Some stuff that we've like semi disagreed on is just solely because like I just know stuff that's coming and like
Mm,
you don't. So you'll be like, oh, I really hate this thing. And I'll be like, oh. And in my head, I'm thinking, you probably won't dislike that or feel that way forever. But in this moment, you do. So it's like,
yeah.
there's no point of debating it because you don't have like all of the knowledge. I feel like come, the end of this crazy thing, I feel like then what opinions lay or that'll be what you and I will actually have differing opinions about things.
Yeah. Because I'll still hate Q. So then he goes on to say, onto the tech. The pigman militiamen got got me thinking about weaponry. He shoots like once and kills three of the chorus.
Okay.
I don't really care about their guns though. Can't the phaser shoot a wide beam if you set it upright, or maybe dig a tunnel? How wide are we talking? Like a football field? And he says, "Thanks for the laughs each week, guys."
It is a really
That's
good point that he shoots one of them and all three of them go.
yeah, that
It's
is true.
it's either they didn't want to animate two more animations of each of them getting shot,
Hmm.
or it was like a wide beam thing, like he said, like a wide, or he did, or it hit one of them and they're all like connected to each other. So if one dies, they all die. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But then you
Could
would
be.
think only one would flay and the other ones would just drop dead. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It is
All right,
funny.
so then our next comment here is from my office.
Very
He
nice.
says it's hard for me to pick a literary world because so much of the fiction I read takes place in the world I already experience. But I have wondered before what it would be like to tour Narnia, Middle Earth, or to have a cupboard that brought my toys to life, like in the Indian in the cupboard. It's funny. I wonder if he's seen our Indian in the cupboard review on the Nerd Holes.
I don't think he has. I don't think
Well,
he
we
has.
should. You should. It's a good
He
one.
should. He should rewatch it and then go watch our review of the
It's a
Indian
good.
in the cover.
It holds up. The movie holds up,
It really does.
and it marks the first time in all of history where Star Wars and a Star Trek figure fought side by side.
Yep.
So there you go. There's your little nugget. See if you can find that. And he says, perhaps if I read something more fantastical, I'd have a better answer. Yeah, because he's so boring that he just reads history and like shipbuilding stuff.
I
So
like that
that
his
wouldn't be.
thought is, yeah, I like that his thought is, well, if I read something more fantasy, it's like, I think Narnia and Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit are
Mm-mm.
pretty fantasy
No,
heavy.
those are written accounts. Then he says, but worlds but worlds like Marvel, DC, even Star Trek have too many elements that would be dangerous and life-threatening, even though they're really cool.
True.
I just want to go somewhere peaceful where I could have fun, not have to worry about anything, and be able to fly. Do they make do they make books about Super Mario? I think they do. And he says,
I'm sure.
even then, the Mushroom Kingdom is a dangerous place. Random bullets flying around, swamps that want to crush you, fire and lava, turtles that want to bite you. Maybe not for me after all. Yeah, Mushroom Kingdom would be a nightmare.
It seems like if Bowser doesn't care about you and you're just going to hang out, like it's probably fine. But the second Bowser gets involved, you're done.
Yeah. Well, here's the reality. If Bowser isn't in the program, you're just a plumber. So so you're just changing pipes and stuff, you know?
That's hilarious.
He says, I'm definitely looking forward to season 3 of Strange New Worlds. I do like the genre stuff they're doing, and so far it's worked for me. Even the musical episode, which I loved. So we both agree on that. Bohemian Rhapsody was the greatest episode of Star Trek ever created. And then he says, some of this upcoming season makes me wonder if it's a bridge too far, but I'm gonna have to give it a fair shake. I think we kind of thought that way too.
Yeah, the more I've been thinking about it since talking about the trailer, I am slightly concerned that they are like, you know what makes Strange New Worlds really good? Comedy and
Yeah.
being zany. And it's like, that's not why everybody likes that show.
No. Yeah, well. Yeah, and my biggest complaint too, like I think I said, was that like, season 2 ends on this cliffhanger of this giant impending war with the
Right.
Gorin, which is really cool. And then they're like, "Hey, here's the trailer. Look at all this wacky stuff." And you're like, "Okay, so you've just like told me that like this first
Right.
parter where they come back is like meaningless. It doesn't matter." And I know it is because I know the characters survive anyway because they go on.
Right.
But build the tension a little bit, you know? It's like, yeah, remember how we left off with the Gorn stuff? What if they had phones?
Yeah, right.
You're
Right.
like, okay, cool.
I guess so.
That's pretty cool.
It is
But
kind of weird
yeah.
because we assume that I forget what her name is, but Pike's girlfriend like dies, like born babies are gonna come out of her and she's dead. And the
Oh
next thing
yeah.
you know, it's all like yuck 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 yuck.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay,
Yeah, it's cool. It'll be great. But yeah, we're excited for it.
super excited.
Yeah. New track, who dis?
That's right.
He says, glad my comments could take you to the exciting world of the dictionary. Nothing says exciting content like looking up the definition of a word.
This week we'll look up a different word.
Yeah. He says, sorry to take you down that path, but I'm glad to know the Okana was definitely not outrageous.
Oxford Dictionary doesn't think so.
Yeah. He says, thanks for engaging with us, guys. Redacted out.
Nice, nice.
That's pretty funny. I do. Yeah, I saw that in your edit. You're like, oh yeah, and his name is B. You like censored it all. All right, so the next up is our review of Loud as a Whisper. What a great episode.
Yep, great episode.
So we had a comment here from McClug SC. McClugs. Yeah, I think that I don't know. He says here, I met the deaf guy's sister on a church ski trip back in ninth grade. She found out I was a huge Trek nerd and mentioned his episode. I didn't remember it then. I watched once it was okay. Yeah. That's pretty funny. That's cool
Yeah.
though.
It is really cool. Yeah, how random though. That's funny.
Yeah, that is pretty random. It's cool too that I mean, reading into this comment as deep as I want to, he makes it sound like she wasn't like, "Oh, did you know my brother was on Star Trek?" It was like he had talked about Star Trek and
Right.
that he was a big fan, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool that you're a fan of Star Trek. My brother was in an episode."
Yeah,
So,
so you think about it. So what? That episode came out in like 89 and in,
yeah,
at ninth grade, I mean, you got to be in your mid-teens. So that means he was born probably in the early 70s. So he probably grew up watching the animated series and then the movies, like the first four movies, and that's what he was talking to her about.
yeah,
Like that's what he would enjoy. And probably syndicated original series. And so now next gen starts. Maybe he watched season one, but
mm,
that's interesting that he probably was talking about the Shatner stuff, and then she was like, "Hey, have you watched the new Next Generation show? Because my brother's on it." And he's like, "Oh, really?" And then went and watched it.
yeah. He makes it sound like after she mentioned it, he was like, "Oh, I don't remember that episode."
It's funny that like it's the same thing with the Theodore Rex comment.
Oh,
It's like
yeah,
it's so funny to think that, which I know it's the internet and this is what happens, but it's just so funny that there's people that are scrolling YouTube and then see our thumbnail for something, and then they're like, "Oh," and then they
yeah.
comment on it. It's like it's so random.
So here's this tidbit, but you wonder if they search out every episode, people talking about that episode and comment on it.
Maybe.
Looks like you're hitting a little bit of turbulence over there.
Oh yeah, very much so. I fit that nebula area.
Oh, that's a pretty bad nebula, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real bad nebula.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Evasive
traffic,
maneuvers.
the currents in this nebula are not well maintained.
No, 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 no. It's because the Federation's not out there yet.
I like that for you. You're static in your office, and it's like I'm just like, uh-huh, uh-huh. Nothing else is happening.
Well, it's funny because I have the Google Docs pulled up here and it's covering my half of Zoom, and I'm just reading this, and I just out of the peripheral I just see you just pretty great.
It's thrashing about.
I think next week we should both do it in the shuttle.
Wow, that would be great.
All right, so the next comment here is from the Faystrom review. He says Picard yelling at the deaf person will never not be painfully hilarious. Yeah. Emphasis on the painful.
Yes.
So the fact that Riva's fact was deaf most likely informed/included the scene where the crew/audience was told not to speak to the interpreter, but rather to the deaf person with whom you are communicating.
Yeah.
But but then there was a scene with someone yelling at someone who could not hear. Felt like disjointed directing messaging for the episode PSA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thing to hard to know. Like he said, like we're the cast and crew educated on. You don't face the interpreter and talk to the interpreter. You talk to Howie and go back and forth and all this stuff. And then they just like somehow flubbed that scene, or did they purposely write that in because that's how people like handle people with disabilities? No pun intended. It's hard to know if they were being intentionally tone deaf, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's also the 80s, right? So
Yeah, oh yeah,
that's how I felt. Like even, like him grabbing him and yelling at him is like, okay, he's just deaf. He's not like, he's not having like a panic episode where sometimes you need to like grab somebody and be like, all right, you gotta calm down, I don't know.
right. He's just
Weird.
screaming at a deaf person who can't hear you. So
We are in this together. And he's like,
right,
I don't know what you're saying.
right, exactly.
It's like that PSA where they're teaching you how to like to tell if someone is choking, and the guy like grabs the kid. He's like, "Are you choking? Are you choking?"
Shaking him.
He can't. He obviously can't talk.
Let me
Why
go
are
over
you
this
blue?
paper. Yeah, right.
Stop being blue. I have a blueberry for a daughter. Anyway. Thank
Perfect reference. Perfect
you.
reference.
Thank you. All right. So the next comment here is from Captain Alimar. He says, "Cluck, cluck, cluck." Funny. That's an underrated line in that episode. It just kind of was like, what? And then I was like, okay, but there's other things to
I
focus
think
on in this
I,
episode.
I think what you should draw is like Camilla the chicken from the Muppets on Picard's uniform, and then say cluck cluck cluck. That'd be good. Or even better, more thematic would be do it to Riker and give Camilla the chicken a beard. That would be
Yeah,
more thematic.
yeah, really funny. He says, an all right episode this week. I'd give it one Roddenberry.
Okay.
I can't agree more that this episode really starts at the halfway point. If the story had just started out with them beaming down on the planet with Riva and getting down to business, what would we lose? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Well, we'd lose the cluck, cluck, cluck thing. The
I mean,
motherhead. Oh, your motherhead.
that's true. We lose Troy calling out war. And it was really funny because when I was editing it after we had talked about it, the three of us, and I got back to, I think you brought it up, and it was like, so what was Riker all annoyed about Picard going down? I get that there's the thing where it's like, well, a captain shouldn't go on an away team, but like nothing was happening down there. It wasn't like he was being beamed into, something crazy.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was the captain meeting the treaty guy and bringing him on
Yeah,
board. It was like very like official captain business, and Riker was all like, "Oh, it's so dangerous to have the captain leave the chair." It's like, okay, how many times has Picard gone to these planets where
yeah, right,
it's bad, it's worse than this? It wasn't like Picard was going to the planet to like help
right,
bridge negotiation.
right.
He was
If
just
he was
going to get the
yeah,
negotiator.
right. I mean, you didn't hear Riker yell at him when he was like, "I'm going to go down and get the kids back." It's like, well, these people are kidnapping people. It's like, don't worry about it. He didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird thing to
I'm
write into the show.
yeah. I'm gonna stop these guys from killing Wesley. Why? I don't. Well, good point. Good point. Good point. Oh, that's good. He says, I found the scene where Riva's chorus getting systematically delayered and disintegrated to be very graphic.
Yes. Oh
A
yeah.
little, yeah, a little expensive and really comes out of nowhere. I approve of this scene. Yeah. It caught me as off guard as the Skitterbug Queen scene, honestly.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
It's just like people are talking, blah blah blah, boring Star Trek episode. Then it was just like blam, and it was just like "Ah," and they all turned to like skeletons, and they're like, whoa, that I did not see coming.
So I never know what you're going to catch in a Star Trek episode.
That's true. That's true. They're both very, very graphic for like TV in the 80s, honestly.
Yeah, no, totally.
He says Picard is off in this episode. He must have been drinking in his quarters while he was staring at that star system. He says, "You mention it, but just talk louder to the deaf guy. That'll work." He 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 calls Riker a mother hen. This is not good. Uh, just talk louder to the
Oh,
deaf guy. Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
totally. That makes sense.
So he continues on here. He says, on Riva, he's really rude to Picard when he talks to his chorus instead of him. They try and make it seem okay, but come on, cut Picard some slack. He came all this way to Uber you. Once he starts signing in Data's fascinating communication between everyone, he gets a lot better. Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
He says, I love Caleb's rant about signing and the computer graphics looking so weird. And
Yes.
nope, no video in the future.
No, you would
Yeah.
never have interpreters
Nah,
showing you how to do it.
no. It's all digital.
Yeah,
It's so stupid. Yeah, it's so stupid. It's like, yeah, the show's supposed to be like way in the future where we have all this technology and diseases are cured, but you know, TVs and data pads and stuff, they're all just very rudimentary. They're basically like 8-bit, you know. We
right,
didn't
right.
we didn't upgrade any of that stuff.
No, 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 no.
It's not like how we can't do holograms. Star Wars does holograms.
We don't have a whole thing dedicated to holograms. We can't do anything about it.
Nah. You couldn't put like the holodeck like in a tablet. That'd be
No,
stupid.
oh, that'd be really dumb.
No, that'd be dumb. That'd be dumb. Oh, you want to see your ancestor from 6,000 years ago? Here's this computer generated image.
We think this is what he looks like.
Wow. He looks just like me. He says also he's absolutely right that Riva is now just a moldy skeleton. Having failed to teach militant pigmen sign language. That's so funny. That's
I
like
mean,
that's all I picture them just being like, we can't do this and just
God,
killing him.
the reality is he doesn't come back. They never reference the guy again. So
Don't forget to pick me up. You sort of just left me here.
yeah,
That's pretty good. Oh
yeah.
man. And then he says, thanks so much to special guest John for being on the show. Keep up the good work,
Oh,
guys. Popcorn award to the chorus being vaporized horrifically.
wow. Okay, okay.
That's really funny.
Well, I'm glad he enjoyed John being on. That's
Yeah.
always yeah.
John is fun on the show. He echoes kind of like how I feel about things sometimes.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's never really. I mean, he's seen Star Trek episodes, but he's not. He's less into it than you are. So
Yeah. It's good to have like a soundboard, you know, and he's like,
yeah,
hey,
well,
so this is kind of stupid. I'm like, yeah, it was kind of stupid.
absolutely.
All right, we'll strap in those seatbelts. We got a comment from my office.
I'm ready.
From my shuttle pod.
From
Says
my shuttle bag.
he says, I agree that this episode takes a minute to get into. Riva doesn't make a good first impression, but once you move past all of that and the things are established, the episode is much more enjoyable. Yep, agreed.
Yep.
He says, look at Picard's spinning planet maps. How long was he just sitting there staring at this? Fascinating.
I mean, here's the thing. Just to go off of his thing, they set it up to make you believe that Picard, they're in that system. They get scans of it. They're like doing something, and then they get a call that like, hey, you have to go pick up Riva to go to Solaris 3 or whatever it was. And he's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Well, I'll be in my ready room and see you later." And then he goes in there, and then who knows how long it takes. He's just in there staring at this thing because he can't understand how something about how like the rotation of the planets that
Yeah.
somehow they don't collide into each other or something.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, how do planets not hit each other? We still haven't
Right.
figured that out in
Nope.
20 it's 4086 or whatever the
Yeah. But he's in there for so long,
yeah
he totally forgets like
that
that
they
they
have a
call
that they're doing it again.
yeah.
Uh, the other thing is they set it up like it's gonna be a key thing later on in the episode too. Like it's like it'll have meaning,
Oh yeah.
you know. N-
Hmm.
nope, nothing.
No, no. Mm-mm.
So he remind it's so really funny. I like to reference Star Wars because you know how I am.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I've seen Star Wars. He basically is from the holiday special. He's like the child Wookiee watching the holographic like dancers is what he is. He's just
Yes.
he's just sitting there. Oh,
Oh,
wow. Yeah.
yes.
To continue on from that, he says, "Look at them go around and around." He's He says Caleb's thoughts was pretty funny. It does feel like Picard forgets he has a ship to run sometimes in the early season. Then Riker arrives to express concern over Picard going on away mission. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Riker is a mother hen. The issue Riker has here is related to Starfleet regulations. It's not typical for the captain to go down on an away mission, even though there was nothing down there to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that, yeah,
I
I get
totally
that.
get that that's like what they were writing to, but he like way
Yeah,
overreacts to it. And
yeah,
it then makes Riker look insane. And like Picard's comment of him being a mother hen, kind of more
yeah.
grounded, just more of like,
And what is this?
ah,
Like the second time we've seen Riker have concern over him going down?
right,
It's like the
right,
first episode, he's like, "Hey, I'm not going to allow the captain to do anything that I think is dangerous." And you're like,
right.
"Great." And then Picard proceeds to go down to all these horrible places, all of season one.
No problem.
And now here we are in season two. And he's like, "You can't go to this planet." It's funny how it was mentioned that Starfleet is not there to police the galaxy, but isn't that pretty much what they're doing? Glad you guys saw it that way too. Like, yeah, yeah,
It's,
that's what Starfleet is, right?
I mean, that's the show. I mean, I don't really get why they wrote that in.
I don't know.
I get, I like I said in the episode, I get, I think what they were trying to say, but didn't say was they're not there to like govern and change how that society rules and dictates things. Like, hey, remember the Prime Directive? Like, we don't mess around with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And instead, it was like, well, we don't police the galaxy. It's like, then what are you doing? What type of definition would you give it?
We're flying around making sure if people have warp technology, we tell them they can't start wars. And if they don't, then we just keep on flying.
No, no,
Ah,
no.
ah, ah. Ah,
Yeah,
ah, ah. You didn't say the Magic Federation would.
yeah, exactly.
It's just funny because it's like, hey, we don't police the galaxy,
But you better listen to what we tell you.
but if you're doing a war, we're gonna send a negotiator and you're gonna stop that war. Like,
Right.
okay. So has it been that far in society now that like they don't have police, so they don't really understand what police did?
I have no idea.
Yeah. We don't have police in the future. We're perfect.
No. Well, since city blocks are done away with, the police are not needed.
How could they even patrol them on foot? They don't know what they don't know. Officer, can you believe this? We walked around this building and we kept making right turns and we're right back to where we started from. How is that even possible? Perhaps we should
Arrest
make
me.
some sort of arrest me. Perhaps if we had some kind of 3D map. we, we, he says Riva negotiated things with Klingons and Federation. Before him, there was no word for peacemaker in Klingon.
No.
It would have been cool to learn more about this, but maybe since this came up before Star Trek VI was a
Yeah,
thing, they couldn't really dive into the details. Which, yeah, I forgot that this was before the movie.
yeah, yep.
That's interesting. That's interesting. This episode came out and they're like, "Hey, so this guy did it. He did it." And you're like,
Right,
"Cool." And then the movie comes out and it's like, "Hey, our planet blew up. Can we live with you guys?"
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I mean, there's literally like two or three more things that they'll like explain, like why the Klingons become more agreeable to the Federation.
Yeah.
And it's a real interesting thing where it's like Praxis explodes in six, so that makes them write like a treaty where they become peaceful with each other. And then X amount of years later, another event happens, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, we're really peaceable now." And then this guy's only like 30, 40 years old in the episode. I mean, he didn't do it as a 6 year old, so just like a couple weeks ago, kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, really think about it. When was he, like 10 years ago? He helped do another treaty for the Klingons.
Yeah. I don't
It's like,
know. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Well, and here's the thing, like, is he a human? Does he live longer? Is he not a human? Is he an alien? I don't know. Nothing.
No,
I don't know anything about him.
he is Ramatiasen or something
Oh.
like that.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe he looks that young, but he's actually like 100 years old or something.
400 years old. Yeah, maybe.
1,400 years. I've seen it all, Captain Picard.
I was
That's
there
why.
when Jonathan Archer signed the Federation Charter. I was one of the reasons why that happened.
Yes. Now that I'm in my 500 years, I
Yeah.
just want to smooch beautiful ladies.
Oh, wonderful.
It's always about something. Yes, that is usually what wars are about. Something.
How interesting.
Well, Captain, in my experience, usually people fight over things or stuff, women, food, money.
He just keeps
Wow,
going down the
man.
list.
Yeah.
Oh.
Deeds, land rights, water,
A
fun.
deity.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. Those
yeah.
are usually what. Yep. Wow, you're good. Something seems a little off with the crowd down here. No one knew he was an empath.
Yeah, that's weird.
How? If he's been around and negotiated with the Federation and Klingons, wouldn't they have some detail dossier on him? Yeah, they would. Well, it's a computer image, and he's just like, so that's it. They don't know nothing.
It's just his head.
Yeah.
And that's it. And they're like, I've seen a picture of the guy.
Interesting idea of the chorus and how that works, but only speak to Riva. Passion tends to stay quiet, but he's trying to get his Mac on with Tori. Also weird. No question from Enterprise that seven want to beam up instead of just four. Yeah.
It was weird that nobody questioned that. Like, what? Like, why are there three more people coming?
Yeah. He says, I don't know if he's being funny or if he says, I wonder how long it took the actor who played Riva to learn all his lines.
Well, you think
It
about it.
is funny, but also like he did have to learn lines
Yeah,
to
right.
sign. Yeah.
So it's like there's the two things, and if he can read English, then how probably however long
Mm.
a normal actor has to learn their lines. But if he can't read English, then it's like, did somebody have to read it and then like sign to him what his lines
Yeah.
were, and then he had to like remember it. I want to say what probably happened based off of like when you look at Howie in the episode. I want to say he had like generalizations of what to do, and when he signed, he had like certain things that he was confined. I think the thing where he gets like angry, I think he was just signing. I don't think there was like, this is what you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
say. Just say stuff like, I can't believe this happened, and sign things like that. But when you watch him, you can see that he's like looking at Marina Sirtis's mouth and like Patrick Stewart's mouth and stuff.
Mhm.
so that he knows. Like he looks at LeVar Burton's mouth when they're having the bridge scene. He like looks down. He's reading their lips to know, like, okay, they're saying this line. Now it's my turn to sign, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, it
Because
is. It's
otherwise,
interesting.
he has no idea where. Because I don't think they have like interpreter like off camera behind those people talking. So he has to
No.
like read their lips and be like, okay, she said this word, so therefore it's my turn to now sign.
Yeah. I'm just happy that they actually had like a deaf person
Oh, totally. Oh,
and not just
absolutely.
somebody up there making it up because like I could totally
Yeah.
see them doing that, you know.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
He says without his visor, Jordy is as blind as a stump, which has no eyes. Couldn't write a better analogy.
You ever
But
seen
I did,
Stump's eyes?
yeah. But I didn't mind the little moment between Riva and Jordy highlighting how those with disabilities are still people. Yeah.
Yeah. It's another one of those moments on the bridge. Like it doesn't bump me out, but it's another thing where it rides that fine line of like this is okay and maybe offensive.
Yeah. No, yeah. I do like that. I've said it ad nauseum, but like the hand on the chest it was a little abrupt for me.
Yeah, we went up to 8 votes and it was still 50-50. So
He says, then another weird development, Riva leaving with just Deanna. He says Troy does seem rather taken with him, maybe because he's similar to her as an empath. Just seems very sudden. I agree that it would have been more natural if this had taken place later in the episode.
so I agree with him that once they're in the room talking and they're having dinner, she does seem very taken with him.
Yeah,
But when
everything up
they
until
first
that, yeah.
yeah, but when they first interact on the planet and when he's like, I want her to take me to my room, she does not seem like she's like okay with that. Like
No.
his forwardness.
No, it's like they want to portray it as that she's looking to Picard for, his like allowance as like the
Right,
captain.
right,
But it really comes across as like, hey, don't send me there. This
right.
guy's, he's like, and he's like, "Oh yes, you may have the woman." It's weird. It's a weird
Whatever Reva
scene.
the Great wants.
He shall get. They really have a hard time setting up people to make them like likable in the
Yeah, their
show.
whole thing is it's like it's this weird rule of thumb that they do a lot in the first couple seasons where the Enterprise crew is essentially like perfect. They make no mistakes. They're ideal people. They're what future humanity should be like. And then everybody that comes onto the Enterprise are like, well, they're troglodytes. They're terrible human beings or aliens. And then it's like, well, wait until this terrible thing happens to you and you'll be set straight.
Yeah.
And so instead of just making him a likable character right off the get go, and then something more terrible happens and you have sympathy for him, it's like, no, this really terrible thing happens. And then it's just like, okay, now what? And then it's just wrapped up in a bow for the sake of convenience.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just teach him how to talk my language. Like, okay, I guess that works.
Meanwhile, there's like 1,000 wars being fought on other planets.
Right.
Oh, it's funny. So then he says, I guess I'd be communicating with the geeky, nerdy part of my chorus. After seeing this episode, I'm not terribly comfortable with this idea of a chorus. Just like with the one guy who left with Riva and Deanna, I feel like people would be up in my business too much.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
much, not much discretion there.
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, you were talking to somebody and then it's like the guy who's basically like the libido comes up and he starts talking and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I guess we know where he's coming from. You're like,
Hmm.
okay, all right. I just want to tell from my office that his geeky nerdy part is clearly the part that has the shirt rolled up so that his belly is sticking out. That's that who that guy is. Remember in his video?
Oh, I have thought about nothing else. Since seeing that video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, that's really funny to me. Everyone would know what's going through your mind. Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The time for killing has come to an end. Don't respond even if provoked. I like that Riker then shoots a look to Worf after that.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
He says, I agreed with John that the aliens look like they're from Planet of the Apes. Suddenly, skeletons everywhere. Very conspiracy-esque. Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But there was some cheesy action, like Riker slow motion saving Riva, kind of funny. Yeah, that's right. I do kind of remember that scene. No. And Riva's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Worf doesn't try to save the chorus either.
He could care less. It was smart to have Data learn sign language as a backup, but you guys brought up a great point. Why couldn't Deanna just communicate for him since they're both empathic?
They literally set up the scene that like you can get rid of this guy because we have a connection, and then beats later, it's like we have no idea how to talk to him.
Because she's a woman. That's the whole point. She can't talk to these people. These
Yeah.
pigmen want war. Then I could listen to some
They want
lady.
war. They did
Uh-huh.
shoot the lady first. That's who they shot
They
at first,
sure
and they
did.
all
Yep. There you go.
killed them all.
There's your answer. It seemed inconsistent to me. I found it funny that Worf thinks of using sign language as a covert language.
Oh yes, yes, yeah, of course.
Yeah. I did like the line, confidence is faith in oneself. It can't be easily given by another.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's a good line. Yeah,
I forgot about that line. Yeah. Four rants by Data I was okay with. This one here and thought it was humorous with all the signs. So he's talking about the scene where Data's like, this is the ocean, this is the sun, this is two people on the ocean with the sun, this is two people walking on the beach with the ocean and the sun. That's the scene he's talking
yes.
about. And he says that he didn't mind it. He thought it was actually humorous with the sign language.
It is really funny and it is really good, but it's just like it's the thing that you said which really struck a chord with me, which was he says all of that, and then Picard is like, okay, oh, okay, dude, like I'm not the deaf one, like I don't care about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Data. Got it. Like, go talk to the deaf person. That was the whole point. Like, no,
Yeah,
Captain, you don't understand. These are two people walking on the beach. This is you. This is me. This is you and me walking down to see Riva. Like, okay, Data. Okay, Data. Okay, Data.
yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Oh man, that's funny. He says, I felt the scene about Geordi maybe getting new eyes was a bit of a throwaway.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. It did lead us to learning that Geordi has constant pain with use of his visor. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah. Like they do drop that tidbit, which is kind of adds an interesting depth to his character, but like
Yeah.
it's meaningless in a way. It almost felt like, well, since there's a person who has a disability on the ship, we should probably address the other guy who has a disability on the ship. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you make this scene be like episode 1 or 2?
Yeah. Of all the times to do it, this isn't really it.
No.
He says that's not much different from LeVar Burton when wearing the visor.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
So
LeVar
he was
didn't.
always in pain wearing the visor?
It was like really, really hard for him to see out of it.
Yeah.
And I think he said something like in an interview that he would get a lot of headaches from it being like so narrow vision and like glued to the side
Oh,
of his head. So,
yeah, that sounds terrible. So he must have really enjoyed the scenes where they put white contacts in his eyes.
oh, I'm sure he really loved it. Yeah.
So despite the procedure being risky, you could see why Geordi might have thought about it. It's true. Common ground and listening, poor choice of words. That's what is needed to negotiate this here peace treaty.
True.
So Picard chooses Troy to carry on negotiations. Sounds like a negotiating tactic of Picard's to me. Maybe. Yeah. Like he knew that Riva would
Maybe,
not want that to happen or something.
maybe.
Yeah, because that whole scene takes place like, hey, so the captain said he's going to take you back to your stupid little planet, but first he told me to go down and do the peace treaty. Like knowing
Like,
like, hey, he's gonna be like, hey, you can't do the peace treaty. I was here to do the peace treaty.
I,
Yeah,
I
maybe.
mean, maybe. I kind of felt like the way that Marina plays it in that scene is that she kind of just came up with it on the spot and was going to kind of throw it at him, like, well,
Mhm.
guess I'm going to have to do it, idiot. And then he was going to be like, well, no, like this whole thing where it's later in the scene, she throws it back at him, like, why can't you just take your own advice then? So I kind of thought she was doing the funny
Yeah.
counseling thing.
Yeah, I think too. I think that was more of her. I don't really think Picard had ulterior motives for that, but
I
it
mean,
seems
the
like
reality is he probably sent her down there just why Data is her. Like, hey, Data and Deanna go to his room and get him on board
yeah.
rather than her just showing up and trying to be like the girl who's interested in him, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're both right.
Yeah. He continues and he says it felt like a burn against Troy's character because it was false confidence in her. Yeah.
Hmm.
He says it led to Riva coming around to taking things on, but I felt a bit bad for Troy. I do like that Troy makes Riva eat his own words when he's told to turn his disadvantage into an advantage. But it's funny that he saw that from the opposite side. Like this was like a Picard maneuver.
Yeah, yeah, okay, true. Like peace. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way at all. I felt like it
No,
was very clearly like Picard's like, well, if he's not going to do it, like we have to try to do something. So I'll
right.
send down the counselor, and she went in on her own accord and was like, hey, so I'm going to go down to this planet, and they're probably going to kill me because you know, are a little baby.
Right, right.
So I don't know. That's interesting. Riva will teach the people to sign. Learn to communicate with Riva will help them learn to communicate with each other. A common thread. Good thing
Yeah.
learning a new language is super easy and couldn't possibly lead these dis
No,
disintegrated carrying aliens to just kill everyone. Yeah,
no, not
exactly.
at all.
It's it's super risky to leave him there alone, right? But the Federation can't interfere, so they have to go with it. After all, their military and exploratory division, Starfleet, doesn't police the galaxy.
No, not at
Ah?
all. No.
Yeah.
The thing that they don't even set up is like if they had set up that sign language or whatever they if they don't want to call his thing sign language, like they say gestural language, they if they had set up in the episode that wow, like it's really fun and like fascinating and enjoyable to learn how he communicates. If they had set that up, then he would be like, okay, I guess I can see that these alien guys would sort of take some sort of interest in it because other people have in the episode. Like, I might be stupid enough to believe that. But then to just be like, they're like, hello, we're here to negotiate. And they're like, die, die. And then he's just going to go down. And he's like, oh, it's okay. There's a stone table here and some torches. And I'm going to spend the next 4 to 6 months teaching them sign language and then negotiate peace.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that like they lead you to believe that like he can teach people sign language with just a table, like
Nothing else.
no written implements, no books,
Yeah.
no chalkboard,
No.
no, it was just like yeah, okay. Got it. Got it. That's a nice easy way to wrap up the episode and move on.
Yeah.
He says it was nice for Picard to express his thanks and draw the crew closer together.
Yes. That was
Shows you
good.
the man he is.
Yes. It was
Once he turns off that spinning planet maps, he can do some good captaining.
great. Real distracted real easily.
Yeah. He
Oh, that's right.
says,
I'm a captain.
oh, shoot. Yeah. Good job, guys. Let me know when we're at the next thing we're doing. I'll be looking at this map. How do these balls not hit? Huh.
Even
Interesting.
Riker says to him, pretty sure that's how he says like inertia or gravity or something. Like he kind of gives it back to Picard, like, isn't that just a gravity thing or whatever he said to him?
Nah. No, nowhere throughout the galaxy have they ever seen planets orbiting each other ever. It's a mystery. A mystery.
Yeah. I think we were supposed to believe that the orbits were just so wacky that it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense how they don't collide into each other. But it's like it doesn't. I don't know. It just. I don't know.
If only Newton was here.
Computer.
Computer. He says, nice job on the review as always. It was nice to have John on to share his thoughts as well.
Look at that.
Yeah. He says, Popcorn Award goes to Howie Seago. He had some powerful moments. You felt his pain and frustration. Exactly.
Well, that sounds like that's to you, Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
Who does get the popcorn award?
Howie Seago. Yeah, because I gave the best scene or whatever to in this episode to that scene where he's like
Yes.
freaking out on the ship. Like you
Yeah.
really could feel his like pain and frustration. It was really good acting, honestly. So I agree with that
I agree.
100%. All right, Will. So now it's time for your favorite thing, the thing that people come here for. What's popular? So probably some strange new Reddit stuff because that's has a current trailer.
Oh yeah.
So let's see here. So this person that you've never seen before, KK Can 2020.
Oh,
He shares a picture of Anson Mount sitting on the Star Trek TOS captain chair at the TOS Trek Museum.
yeah, and I think that that picture. I'm not 100% sure what the year was, but I think he had finished filming season 2 of Discovery, or he was
Hmm.
soon to. Probably he had already filmed it, and he went to the Ticonderoga. It's him and Ticonderoga.
Oh, is it really Taekwondo?
I'm almost 100% positive,
Wow.
but that was probably 7 years ago.
That's crazy. So it was before he really was like
Yeah,
officially
like what he
on
is now. Yeah,
Strange.
because also Ethan Peck, who plays Spock, went there too. So
Oh, that's stupid. I'd
yeah,
hate
it
to
is
go there
really.
when those guys were there. That'd be so lame.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah. I like how like walking through the museum on like a guided tour, it's like $20. And then like if there's anybody from anything there, it's like $140.
Oh yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Stupid. That's cool though.
Idiots.
Continuing on here on the TOS Reddit here, we have KK Can 2020. It seems like he's the only person that posts on the Reddit. Just he's like the
Yeah,
only
of
one
course.
to talk about everything. So he shares this photo of Nimoy getting his Hollywood star in 1985. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. So
And the whole cast showed up
had,
for it.
I think they had just like a year prior had just done Search for Spock. I don't think Voyage Home, or maybe Voyage Home came out in '84, so they had just done Voyage Home. I think I don't remember.
Huh.
It's one of those years. It's right around that time. I think the only sad thing is, and I know he notates there at the bottom that like those who could come, but it was a little sad that like Shatner's not in the picture.
I just was noticing that like Shatner's really the only one that's not there.
Yeah, I don't think Scotty's in the picture either, is he?
No, nope.
No.
It's Chekhov,
Yeah, Sulu.
Uhura, Bones, and Sulu,
Yeah, and
and
Gene Roddenberry.
some idiot that wrote it. Yeah, he's there. I don't see
Yeah,
the computer. Oh,
she's
maybe
right there.
she's
She's
in the
kneeled
front.
down.
She's in the front.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's
I
right
didn't
there.
recognize her. That's
Oh,
pretty
look at
cool. Did Roddenberry ever get a star on the Walk of that
I
doesn't go
would,
to
I would assume so. I would assume so. I don't super follow that kind of stuff, but I would assume he did.
Yeah. Seems like back in this time period, it was like really
Oh, it's huge, huge.
meant something, and now it's just kind of like I don't really care.
You know what I have found, and I agree with you. I have found that because a couple people here recently have gotten them that I really like, and I have found it's more about the people that they pull out of like Hollywood that come and like honor this guy. So it's like that's cool that that stuff happens. But that kind of seems to be like the thing.
To me, it's become like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So like they do like every year they do like a new inductee, and it's like fan choice,
Yeah.
and it's like it's always like a band that you're like, how are they not already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? You know, it's like
Oh, 100%.
they've paved the way for modern day like rock and roll. I mean, like why are they not in? They should have been in it automatically.
Yeah.
But it's like a fan vote. They put one in a
Yeah.
year, and it's like I don't really care then if
Right.
it's not. You know, it's like I don't. Okay,
Well, the other thing is too that drives me nuts about that is like we went there, and to me it's like why do you call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when it's like a
everything.
good
Yeah,
majority
yeah.
of them in there are not rock and roll stars. They're like
No, it's
rap
stupid.
or like
Yeah,
blues or something. It's like they're great musicians. Don't get me wrong, but it's just
yeah,
like
but it's
not
not
rock
rock
and
and
roll.
roll, and that's why like you have guys like I think Black Sabbath is there, but like but
Probably.
you have bands like to that level that like aren't in there.
Yeah,
Because you
right,
have
right.
other
Well,
people that are in there, and it's like, why are they in there? I don't understand.
well, to your
It's meaningless. It means nothing.
yeah, like to your point, like 2 or 3 years ago, like Foo Fighters got inducted.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
That
let's
was
go
all.
through these. There's 145 artists that are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Number one, Brian Adams. Two, Alice in Chains. Greg Allman. America. Anthrax.
Wow, America and wow,
Asia.
wow,
Bad Company. That's a shame. Badfinger. Beck. Don't care. The B-52s. The Black
wow. The
Crows.
B-52s. Wow,
Yeah. Black Crows, Blackfoot, Blind Faith, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Blue Cheer, Blue Oyster Cult. Wow, another shame. Bon Jovi, don't really care. Boston,
wow. Boston's not in it.
no.
Wow, wow.
Joe
They've been
Cocker,
around
Phil
since like the
Collins.
70s.
Yeah, I know.
Phil Collins isn't in it.
No, The Cult. That's what I'm saying.
Wow,
it doesn't
wow.
it's meaningless. You have all these people who paved the way for rock and roll in like the 70s and 80s, and they're like, nah. We put P. Diddy's in there though. You're like, oh,
Right, exactly.
cool.
Right,
That's so cool.
exactly,
Yeah. So why is it the
exactly.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I'm not going to go through all 145. I just think it's interesting to see that, you know,
No, it's super. It is.
Cyndi Lauper's not in there, Huey Lewis and the
Wow.
News not in there, Living Colour's not in there. Well, there you go. So there is our Rock and Roll Hall of Fame talk. Let
Or
us
we
know
talk
if there's
about
any.
yeah,
Yeah. So next week we're going to cover the other 50 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame members.
yep.
All right. Well, there you go. That was
Hilarious.
Hailing Frequencies Open. We look forward to talking to you guys next week. I think Will also has a shuttle pod mission next week.
I think I'll have a shuttle pod mission for the review. Yes.
Oh no. So I'm captaining the review as well. So get ready for that. That'll be great. Well, thank you everybody for your comments. We like reading them. We like talking about them. And we look forward to
Yeah.
reading your comments next week for the Schizoid Man.
That's right. The
Woo!
schizoid
What a
man.
great episode that I can't wait to read the comments on that. But no, honestly, like that's if there's a bad episode, this is what I look forward to is like hearing other people say like, "Hey, this episode really kind of sucks." And I get to say,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
It's
I was right."
the thing that I like is that we're able to talk about how terrible it is, but we always get everybody who comments and us who review it. We always like cherry pick a couple of good things out of it that we like. So
Well, that's pretty much what Star Trek is a lot of bad with a few good. So
at least the first 2 seasons.
Sometimes it's reversed, but not often. All right, Will, you're free to dock.
Sounds good. And
Oh wait, hold, you're coming in too fast. You're coming in too fast. Reverse thruster. Reverse thruster.